What would happen if, in a single, inexplicable moment, every man on Earth simply vanished? 1 second, our world is home to nearly 8 billion people, a vibrant mix of genders, cultures, and ideas. The next, half of the population is gone. What would a world with only women look like? How would society function, evolve, and, most importantly, survive? This isn't just a curious thought experiment. It's a deep dive into the very fabric of our civilization. Right now, human society is a complex tapestry woven with the threads of both men and women. Our economies, our governments, our families, everything is built on a foundation of collaboration, conflict, and connection between the sexes. From a purely biological standpoint, our species' survival has always depended on the union of male and female for reproduction. The sudden absence of men would tear a massive hole in this fabric, forcing humanity to confront its most fundamental challenge: continuation. In the immediate aftermath, the world wouldn't grind to a halt. The lights would stay on. The internet would still buzz with information. Planes, trains, and automobiles would continue to operate, at least for a while, piloted and driven by capable women. Many of the world's essential services, from healthcare and education to administration and logistics, already have a strong female workforce. Governments wouldn't collapse overnight. Female leaders, ministers, and civil servants would step up to manage the unprecedented crisis. In many countries, women are already heads of state, CEOs of major corporations, and leading scientists. Society's core infrastructure would remain intact. However, the social dynamics would begin to shift almost instantly. The initial phase would be one of shock, grief, and confusion. Imagine half of all families suddenly broken. Mothers losing sons, wives losing husbands, daughters losing fathers. The collective emotional trauma would be immense, a global wave of loss that would unite every single person on the planet. But after the initial shock, new structures would begin to form. With the absence of traditional gender dynamics, how would relationships change? How would communities reorganize themselves? Perhaps collaboration would become more prevalent. Or maybe new forms of competition and hierarchy would emerge, driven by different values and priorities. The most pressing issue, dwarfing all others, would be the population problem. With no men, natural human reproduction becomes impossible. The human race would be staring down the barrel of extinction within a single generation. The last generation of children born before the event would grow up in a world unlike any other, but they would be the last. This existential threat would galvanize the world's remaining scientific community. All efforts would be focused on a single goal: creating new life. Scientists would race against time, exploring every avenue of advanced reproductive technology. The most viable option would likely involve sperm banks. Stored sperm samples from before the disappearance would become the most precious resource on the planet, more valuable than gold or oil. Teams of geneticists and fertility experts would work around the clock, using techniques like in vitro fertilization, or IVF, to impregnate willing volunteers. But this is only a temporary solution. The stored samples are finite. How many are there? How viable are they? And critically, since sperm determines the sex of a child, these samples would almost exclusively produce male offspring. Would society choose to bring men back into the world, knowing the complexities that might arise? Or would they find another way? Another, more radical scientific path would be parthenogenesis, or virgin birth. This occurs naturally in some species where an egg can develop into an embryo without fertilization. In humans, this is not a natural process, but could it be induced artificially? Scientists might attempt to use chemical or electrical stimuli to trick an egg cell into dividing and developing. If successful, this process would only produce female offspring, as the embryo would be a genetic clone of the mother. This would create a truly all-female society for generations to come, but it would also lead to a severe lack of genetic diversity, making humanity incredibly vulnerable to diseases. A third, even more futuristic possibility would involve creating artificial sperm from female stem cells. Researchers have already made progress in turning skin cells into stem cells, and then into egg or sperm cells in animal models. If this technology could be perfected for humans, women could essentially create sperm from their own cells. This would allow for genetic mixing between two female parents, preserving genetic diversity and ensuring the long-term survival of the species. Humanity's future would become entirely dependent on its mastery of biology and technology. As society stabilized and found a way to reproduce, it would begin to transform in profound ways. What would a world governed entirely by women look like? Would our political systems become more collaborative and less confrontational? Would our economic priorities shift away from relentless growth and towards sustainability and well-being? Art, music, and literature would evolve, telling new stories from a singular yet incredibly diverse perspective. The very definition of family, community, and leadership would be rewritten. Roles traditionally associated with men, from frontline combat to heavy industry, would now be filled entirely by women, shattering any remaining stereotypes about physical or mental capabilities. In the long-term future, humanity might look very different. If parthenogenesis becomes the norm, society would be composed entirely of women, a world of mothers, daughters, and sisters. If artificial sperm becomes the solution, the concept of a two-parent family could take on a whole new meaning. Humanity's survival would be a testament to its ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability. The world could become a utopia of cooperation and progress, or it could face new, unforeseen challenges and divisions. Perhaps new social hierarchies would form based on fertility, genetic purity, or access to reproductive technology. This thought experiment reveals a profound truth about our world today. It's not about whether a society of only women would be better or worse. It's about understanding that our strength as a species comes from our diversity. The dynamic interplay between different perspectives, skills, and experiences is what drives innovation and resilience. The sudden absence of half of our population would force us to confront our own limitations and appreciate the delicate balance that allows our civilization to thrive. In the end, humanity's survival has always depended on cooperation, on our ability to work together to overcome impossible challenges. And in a world faced with the ultimate crisis, this truth would be more important than ever. Thanks for watching. What do you think would be the biggest change in a world with only women? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking scenarios.